Welcome to the Retirement Outsiders Podcast. I'm your host, Steve, and I'm joined by my wife and co-host, Tony. The focus of this podcast is to discuss various retirement topics from an outsider's point of view. In terms of this podcast, an outsider is someone who is not retired, someone who is not a financial advisor, someone who is not a CPA, lawyer, or healthcare advisor. I'm an engineer, and Tony is a teacher. We've been preparing for retirement for several years. We've encountered many different opportunities and obstacles throughout our careers and our paths to retirement. Early on, so much of it was intimidating. Our intent is to make some sense out of all the financial, accounting, estate planning, and healthcare jargon from an outsider's perspective. In addition, we will discuss some of the behavioral aspects that come with not being tied down to a 9-to-5 job. Welcome to the Retirement Outsiders Podcast. Good afternoon, Tony. How you doing?
I'm good.
Excellent. We got a couple of, I'm great. I'm always good. We got a couple of fun topics today. Maybe crowd favorite, Social Security. Everyone enjoys talking about that and how awesome that is. And then parenting.
Let's go back to Social Security. It's the topic everyone thinks is boring until they need it.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I suppose so.
Mm-hmm.
So Social Security and then parenting adult children.
Our generation's burden.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Shall we get started? We better get going. This is going to be a long one, I think. So buckle up. Social Security. Let's talk history here. So the Social Security Act was signed into law in 1935 as part of the second New Deal under FDR. I think most people recognize that was done under FDR, New Deal era.
Right in the middle of the Great Depression.
Right. As it was, right in the middle, yeah. The initial purpose was to provide economic security primarily to the elderly, and in large part because of the Great Depression. In 1937, the first payroll taxes were collected by workers and employers to begin paying for said Social Security. The first monthly benefit was paid in 1940. A cost of living adjustment wasn't added.
Wait. So how was it dispersed before the monthly payment system? Do you know?
It wasn't. They started. They started taking money before they started giving it back.
Well, that actually makes sense. Okay.
Well, one could argue that, but okay.
All right.
So 1940 was the first payout. It wasn't for another 32 years that the first cost of living adjustment was made to Social Security payments. Can you believe that?
No.
Kind of crazy. So we talked about how it's funded. How is it funded? So the employee and the employer both pay a tax. So all you W-2 earners out there, normal people, normal jobs, you get your paycheck every month and you have a little Social Security tax on there, and you pay half and your employer pays half is how that works. So when it first started back in the late 30s, it was 1% for each party. So the employer paid 1% of your salary and you paid 1% of your salary. And it was maxed out at your first your first $3,000 of earnings.
Okay.
And boy, did they ever start increasing that. So from 37 to 49, it was 1% each. In 1950 to 1954, it was 1.5% each. It changed again in 54 through 56, up to 2% each, 57 to 58, 2.25, boom, just kept going up every year. Interestingly enough, it stopped going up in 1990. It's at 6.2% now for both the employee and the employer. And if you look at a graph of just that increase, really about early 1950s, it started just kind of, not exponentially, but a sharp change in the increase of the percentage tax that was charged. And for those of you wondering, that this charge is one of the first things taken out of your paycheck. So It's a percent of your pay before your 401k.
Oh, okay.
Before, lots of other taxes. HSA comes out first. So your HSA, you do not have to pay Social Security tax on the amount you contribute to your HSA.
Okay.
As long as it comes out of your...
Let me take my non-engineer brain and think about that for a minute. So your gross pay is $27. And so HSA comes out, then Social Security, then your 401k/403b.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But the percentage of your so if you say take 25% of my pay, it's 25%, of your total pay.
Okay.
It's all of total. It's not 25% of what's left, for example.
So, okay.
And then it's interesting. I did the math on both of our paychecks just because I like things to work out right to the penny, because it makes me feel like I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
It's interesting. I did some research and they say, hey, some of your health care comes out first, not on mine and not on yours. So our health care, you take that out first. So your monthly payment for healthcare.
For my insurance,
So that also is not taxed Social Security wise. But then we both get a dollar amount associated with a life insurance from our companies. That's counted as income. So even though we don't get money on our paycheck for that, it's a cost that's provided to us. It's a benefit. Therefore, it's taxed by Social Security.
Well, then my question, do we pay for that, or does our employer pay for that?
The employer pays for it, so it's a benefit to us.
So they also pay for the other, like my employer pays for a giant chunk of my health insurance.
Yeah. So it's only the part that you pay that you get the deduction for.
Okay. Oh, I hate this
Makes
stuff.
sense?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is it's good to know, right?
Right.
The other thing is, and I mentioned it on the very first bullet, and from 1937 to 49, that everybody paid 1% up to that $3,000 cap in income. There's also a cap in income, and that has been increasing drastically over the years. So essentially, at some point during the year, if you make a certain amount of money, in 1937, it would have been $3,000. Once you hit $3,000, you no longer had to pay Social Security, and neither did the company. So your benefit would stop increasing. That at that point you would be capped out for whatever you could have earned in Social Security for that year.
Do you know if $3,000 was an elite income?
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No, it wasn't. I looked up the number. I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it was in the 40s, like 48,000. I'm thinking something like that back in the 30s. If I'm remembering correctly, it was
considered what? 48,000?
Like 48,000 today.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what that,
okay.
If memory serves me.
Elite's not the word I wanted. I'll have to think about that.
No. So really in about 1970 or so, looking at this chart, they really saw the value in increasing that number. It's very clear because the chart just starts going up, much like the percentage cap. So
Nixon president?
Not have been.
I think it was.
Maybe, Nixon was out in 73 or 4, so
yeah.
This would have been right around that time. But you got to remember, the president has very little to do.
Oh, yeah.
This is a congressional thing. The president can say what he wants to say, but the Congress has to Congress has to vote on this. So that started increasing pretty dramatically. Today it's up over $180,000, 184 or something like that is the cap. So once you get to that point, you no longer have to pay. Now, the interesting thing there is, so why is that, right? And we'll talk about that a little bit. I think I'll hit the pause button. We'll talk about that during the calculation of how you actually calculate your Social Security, because that plays a pretty big role in the actual value you'll eventually get. So there's all this money, right? And like we talked about, the money started coming in 1937. It didn't start leaving or going out until 1940. So what does the federal government do with that money? Well, they invest it, which is a great idea, right? Interestingly enough, they go uber ultra, just shy of burying it in your backyard conservative.
Mm-hmm.
They buy U.S. Treasuries, and you're lucky if they pay out what inflation is essentially, maybe slightly, a point something percent above what that would be in a particular year. So they're
better or worse than a savings account for us,
well,
like a local brand bank
better.
savings account.
Yeah, I'm talking.
It's a little better.
We're talking, like in a 3 to 4%. I mean,
Okay.
In that general range typically.
Okay.
I mean, it follows the interest rates. It follows inflation. So
this is what you're investing in if you're 97.
Well,
maybe.
And that might be a great idea when you're 97. I mean, you're not exactly looking to make a bunch of money when you're 97. At least most people aren't. So, so that contributes to one of the problems we have with Social Security is a solvency issue. So running out of money. So there's always money coming in. Every time someone gets a paycheck, money's coming in. But right now we're in a situation where we've got baby boomers that are retiring. So we've got more people that are retiring than people are joining the workforce.
Retired. And honestly, retired. When we're talking about boomers, we're talking about that would be an interesting number. What percentage of boomers are considered
baby
retired?
boomers towards the late 60s is when that stops?
I think
mid
so.
To late 60s.
My mom she calls herself a boomer, but she is the very last year, 1945, of the whatever that generation is, silent generation or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Before my time.
Me too.
But so today, with the math that we're using today, the Social Security fund, the extra that they have buried out in their backyard right now in a U.S. Treasury, that money runs out in roughly 2034. So we would only have left what's coming in. So what do we do about that, right?
We're not really here to answer that question, are we?
Well, there's some options. There's things you can do. Okay. There's easy things that can be done. Number one, you can increase the tax rate. You can just say we need to pay more taxes. We haven't done that since 1990. If you increase the rate, obviously more money just starts coming in right away. The question would be, if you increase the rate, you also increase the payout for the people paying that rate. So does it solve the problem today for a while, but when the person that is still working then goes to retire, if they're now taking more money out because they put more in, now you just kick the can down the road, essentially. At least somewhat, right? I mean, the math all matters, but so you can do that. You can also raise the tax cap. So instead of it stopping after you've made 184 or whatever, roughly 180 some $1,000, you could say it's $200. And they've been doing that every year pretty dramatically for 10 to, pretty dramatically for 5 to 6 years, pretty consistently since, like I said, the 1975 or so. Well, you tax the rich, but here's the thing. Same question for increasing the rate. If you raise the tax cap, are you also saying the potential payout for those people is increasing? Or are you just saying you just have to pay more?
Right. And you're going to get to some interesting points regarding that later.
So what they've done, so to be clear, they've increased the rates and they've increased the tax caps. They've always also increased the payout. So they've also said, well, you're just going to get more. So they've always kicked the can down the road. It solves a problem for maybe 5 years, 10 years, but then those people who have helped solve the problem start retiring, and now they get more money out of the system.
They get more money. I'm trying to think how I want to ask this. They get more money, of course, but is it more money than cost of living? Do you know what I mean? Because they make cost of living adjustments occasionally.
Well, there's cost of living adjustments too, but basically, and I'm just about there. But so your Social Security is calculated by your top 35 years of earnings, and every year has a unique max capacity that comes with it. So in 1972, there was a particular tax cap, whatever that salary was. So if you made exactly that amount or more, there's only so much money that can be allotted to you for the work you did in that year. It doesn't matter if you retire 25 years later or 5 years after it. Whatever you did that year is based on what the tax cap was and what your salary was compared to that tax cap.
Okay.
I'll explain further.
Thank you.
What else can you do? You can reduce benefits. You can just say, okay, everybody gets less. And it's pretty simple.
People love to pay more taxes.
Yeah.
They also like getting less than they expect.
Yeah.
It really, those are two super
Exactly.
popular. I mean, every politician runs on those two things.
Yeah, you can change the eligibility. You can say, hey, it's based on the top 50 years of working. So now, unless if you don't want to work for 50 years, you only work for 40, then you're only getting 80% theoretically of the max.
Yeah, I made $2.75 an hour my first year of work.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other thing you do is actually invest it like a sane person. If they'd just put that into the S&P 500 starting even in 1990, we would be, there'd just be government employees with wheelbarrows full of cash running around trying to figure out who wants it. So.
Oh, I don't think so. I think they would find somewhere else.
They probably would have done something else with it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if Congress does do nothing, if they choose to do nothing, and we find ourselves in 2034, then the fund goes away. The income is still coming in, but roughly the numbers are that benefits would have to be reduced by about 20% is what that hit would be. So the nice thing, if you want to say something nice about our political landscape, if you're a politician and you can become like a congressperson, it's weird. Your salary is like a 6-figure salary, but somehow you're a mega multimillionaire almost overnight. And it's because of all the fun things that our lobbyists do and things of that nature. So here's the thing. These people love all that money. And there's certain things, politicians upset people all the time. You're going to upset all the people all the time if you cut Social Security. That's like a death sentence for your career. Yeah. So they will do something. It might not be exactly what you want. They might increase the tax rate. They might do this. They might do that without increasing benefits, but they're going to do something.
I feel like, and this might be because once I hit a certain age, I actually started paying attention to Social Security, but I feel like my entire adulthood there's been an umbrella of gloom over Social Security. There's been that fear. It's kind of like,
Yeah, for sure.
And has that always been the case? It's just I started paying attention?
Oh, probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah. So how is Social Security calculated? This is so much fun for me. So number one, it's like they said, sorry, not complicated enough. Go back and try again. It's really bad. So number one, you need 40 credits. You need 40 credits to be eligible for Social Security.
By the way, Steve has explained this to me before, and I don't know. This is one of his best bits. He could do stand-up.
So you get 1 credit for every quarter, 3 months, 1 credit for every 3-month period that you make at least $1,890.
Simple.
So that's like in today's dollars. So next year it'll be, $1,902 you have to make in that quarter to be eligible for to get a credit.
A credit, yes.
And you need 40 credits to be
vested,
eligible for all of your Social Security. I think there's something like if you have 20, you get a little bit of something, but we're not really going there. So 40 credits. So once you've worked 10 years, good solid 10 years, you're going to be eligible. And in the good old days, you used to get a statement, not every year, but every 4 or 5 years, and showed what your Social Security would be. You really should sign up online now. Thankfully, they don't mail those statements in the mail and put them in the hands of postal workers and hope that they get to the right mailbox.
We have
it only has your
right now.
social security number and address and all that fun stuff on there. Mm-hmm. Your entire work history,
our income,
your income for the last how many ever years?
Forever.
Well, yeah, it shows it forever. So get your 40 credits, right? Work 10 years, make a reasonable amount of money, some kind of money. And then what they do is they take your top 35 years. Your top 35 years are what is used to calculate your Social Security. So how do they do that? Well, what they do is they calculate what is called your average indexed monthly earnings, your AIME, your average indexed monthly earnings. And they adjust that for inflation. Got it? Makes sense? So basically if you earned, $80,000 in 1990, that's going to be reasonably equivalent to $120,000 in whatever year that the inflation triggers that, right? And then if you make more than the cap for any given year, you're not getting any extra benefit for that year, and it doesn't roll over to the next year. You can't say, well, I earned, all these thousands of dollars over the cap for 10 years, put that extra into the 10 years where I was under. No, it's every year stands on its own.
So if you make cap in August of a year,
yep,
and you retire in February of the following year, the only income you make that second year that Social Security is calculating are those 2 months, January, February. It does not go, oh, well, you know what? We didn't count those months from September to December. We're starting again in January.
You mean you start working again in January?
No, you retire at the end of February. You're only getting those 2 months of credit.
Oh, for that year. Yeah. For that year, yeah, you only get the 2 months.
Okay.
It's not even, it's how much ever you made. I mean, if you make $1 million in 2 months, you cap out the whole year, you're good. You can make it in 1 day, 1 month, 1 week, or you can hit the cap on December 31st. Hitting the cap is hitting the cap, regardless of how you do it. Okay. And then, so now you've got all these years where you've made whatever money you've made. They apply a inflation target to it. They try to normalize essentially all the years that you've worked. And then they apply another set of factors to it. So once you have your AIME, your average index monthly earnings, the next thing you do is you figure out your primary insurance amount, which is a fancy way of saying this is how much Social Security is going to pay you. Your PIA is your payment from Social Security.
Your monthly Social Security, your check.
They call it an insurance amount. I don't know.
Whatever.
So your PIA. So this is a graduated way, I guess is how I'll call it, of paying out the money. So if you're a low income earner, there's three different inflection points, if you will. The first inflection point is right around $14,000 of annual income. So if you make right around that amount, and it changes every year, so it bumps up a little bit every year, you get 90% of that paid back to you in Social Security. So if you worked 35 years, consistently made that, whatever that amount is over those 35 years, so in today's dollars, roughly $13,000, $14,000, and you did that for 35 years, your Social Security would be 90% of what your income was through your whole life.
So your income would not change very much when you retired?
Not a ton.
Nice. All right.
Okay. So the next inflection point is from that amount, that $14,000 up to $80,000, roughly $80,000. For that chunk of money, so if you made $80,000, that first 15, you get 90% of that. The next 65,000 up to 80, you get 32% of that. You only get a third of that. And then the next inflection point, anything above that $80,000, so up to the max, whatever, if you make anywhere between 80 and the max or more, you only get 15% of that payback. So if you look at a couple of earnings buckets, if you will, someone in a low income, let's say they make $36,000 this year and have done that every year for 35 years, the equivalent, they would bring home 55% of their income. A maximum earner would bring back 31%.
And that's gross income.
Yeah, it's gross. And it gets taxed. Then
and it gets taxed. That's that's something I found very interesting when we started doing my mom's taxes when she started collecting Social Security.
Yeah, Social Security is taxed differently too, and there's different things, but some people don't get taxed on it at all, but they would be very low income folks.
Right.
So it does get taxed a little bit differently, but for medium and up, you're going to get taxed on it. And then if you have other income as well, it gets taxed too. And it gets taxed differently based on there's a whole
right.
There'll be an episode on that someday on income taxes. But okay, makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, so how do you figure out what your payout's going to be when you're still working? How do you do it right? You make that online account. So if you go to socialsecurity.gov, I think is what it is. You do a Google search and find it. You can create an account and log in, put your information in, make sure it's going to have every year of all your earnings on there, which is kind of cool after you've gotten kind of old. You see how little you made in a few of those years. But you can see all the money you've made in all the years, and it shows you what the calculation is based on some assumptions, how many more years you're going to be working, what you estimate your income will be in those years, and then of course when you go to take money out of Social Security. The estimate is pretty good. There's another thing you can do on their website. You can download this piece of software. It reminds me of, and I'll say 1998 when you first got Windows, and they made a DOS program and they tried to make it look like it was a Windows program, but it really wasn't. They just had like 4 graphics that opened up where you could type data into and hit a button and things would happen. But it's basically like that.
You are such a nerd.
Oh my God, it's pain. I did it. I've done it for both of us.
I know. You
got to go in and literally type in your Social Security salary for each year. Say, hey, this year I made this much. It takes a while. It's hefty. The nice thing, I don't know how nice it is, but you can apply different models to it in that tool, like what you think inflation will be versus what the standard amount is they use on the website. It really doesn't tweak it that much. I would say for most people, you can probably ignore that, but I couldn't help myself. I had to download it and run it through. So good times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when do you take Social Security? When do you take it? What's our Social Security? What's our retirement age according to full retirement age according to Social Security? Do you know the answer?
Full retirement? No. I know there's tiers, but I don't know is full 65?
7 for us. It used to be 65.
Oh, it's 67.
67. Yes,
so it's
sorry.
60. I was like 70.
No, 67. Okay,
but you can retire at 62 is the bottom tier, right?
You can take it at 62.
That's what my mom did, right?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Probably, but I think
so. Okay.
So regardless of what year you take it, if you wait one more year, it's going to increase by roughly 8%. That's kind of a rule of thumb. So when you're doing your retirement planning, obviously that's a big deal, right? And frankly, your choice and when you take it might very well depend. It's going to depend on a lot of things. For a married couple, it starts to become interesting for a married couple because when you're married and you're both taking Social Security and one of you passes away, the surviving spouse gets to keep the higher of the two.
Okay.
But only the higher of the two.
Okay.
Not both of them.
Right.
Not even if the surviving spouse, their payout was higher, they just lose their other spouse's payment. I mean, they keep theirs. If the surviving spouse had the lower payout, they get the higher payout, but theirs goes away. So there's some strategies that can be employed there. You can start to see some of the negatives, right? So imagine you own a home or you rent, it doesn't really matter, but you've got a budget. Even if you both make exactly the same amount, right? Just you both make $4,000 a month, right?
I mean,
you lose half of that.
Yeah.
Worst case, you lose half. Best case, the surviving spouse had all of it and you didn't have any, so it doesn't hurt you at all. But most of us, especially in our age group, are from families where both spouses work. So, we're planning our retirement based on 2 Social Security checks.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So let's say that, one spouse passes away. How does your budget change? Well, your budget goes, you have less expenditures, right? You could argue your grocery bill probably doesn't get cut in half because maybe you buy that container of fruit and you have to throw some away instead of eating all of it, right? Mm-hmm. So does it get cut by 40%, 30% maybe, right? What about your rent?
Not going to change.
Yeah, mortgage, right? I mean, unless you sell your house or move to a cheaper apartment, but are you going to cut your rent by 60% or,
Right.
I mean, now you can't live in the same neighborhood anymore, maybe, right?
Well, like you look at our parents, our parents' generation. Our parents really aren't representative of this, but a lot of those boomers lived in their houses for very long periods of time. They got them all paid off. And then you lose a spouse and you're like, you know what? I need less. I need a condo or whatever. And suddenly your $20,000 house is now you're investing in $180,000 whatever. That's significant. That's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, even utilities, things of that nature, right? Your electric bill is going to go down a little bit, but not 50%, maybe 10%. I mean, just the hookup fee, just having electricity is a certain percentage of your bill. Your water bill. Okay, you take half the showers, but
are we going to talk about divorce and multi-marriages and things like that, or is that another conversation?
Yeah,
because that's how long do you have to be married before you can collect?
Oh, geez. I think it's 10 years.
Yeah.
And then even if you get divorced, there's things you can do to get some of that money when that person passes away and things of that. There are some rules there, and then there's lawyers and how the divorce goes and things of that nature. So I have not dug into the details on that.
We've heard bits and pieces in different areas, but that's not our expertise.
But another thing you can think about, right, is when each spouse takes Social Security. So given that, hey, when one spouse passes, the remaining spouse gets the higher payment, you might say to yourself, hey, we can retire at the age we want to. We can retire at 62. Maybe we should take the lower payment at 62. Because we can pay, we'll be okay. We've got money invested. We've got, money set aside. Maybe one of us still has a part-time job. We can make it on that. And then if we stall and delay the higher payment as long as we can, then when something does happen to the one spouse, at least the remaining spouse, now that payment is much higher. So there's some strategy you can do there. Obviously, your health comes into play.
Yeah,
there's a lot of different things. Yeah. So, I mean, it really depends on your personal situation. How much do you have invested other places? Frankly, how confident are you that Social Security is going to pay out what you think it's going to pay out? If you're in your 40s or 50s and you're banking on what your statement says today, and if it's 5% lower, it's a big problem for you, then you probably don't have a super solid plan. So long story short, talk to a financial advisor. I am not a financial advisor. I am an engineer.
He likes answers.
If I'm going to give you advice, the actual advice, get a financial advisor and talk about this stuff, because
Talk to your friends. Who do they trust? Who do they like? I think that helps sometimes.
Be careful, but be careful when you talk to your friends. One of the things I've heard is, oh, we're going to take it as early as we can because blah, 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 blah. Like, well, that might work for them. That might be the right plan all in with everything else they have going on in their lives, but it certainly doesn't mean that that's the right plan for you. So talk to a financial advisor, please.
It is extremely personal. It really, it's, all of the decisions you make when it comes to retirement. When do you want to retire? Are you someone that's like, I want to keep working at some capacity? I want to keep working in my field. Then you've got a different plan from someone who's saying, I need to be out of my occupation by the time I'm 55. That's a very different scenario than someone who wants to work into their 70s.
Yeah. So that's Social Security. Okay, so from one fun topic to the next. Parenting adult children.
Parenting adult children. This is something that has become much more prevalent. I don't know if that's the word I want, in our generation. And I'm going to talk about some of the reasons why and some of the traits of Generation X, which I am, which Steve is. I'm actually right, almost smack dab in the middle of the 65 to 80 Generation X window. And you'll see a little variation in those numbers, but that's the range that I see the most. And we identify my generation in these ways. And real quick, just where do we stand in the generations? So there's the quiet generation, I think, is my mom's generation. And I don't remember what the beginner is, but she, like I said earlier, she is tail end of that generation. Boomers are 45 to, I think, 60. And then you've got us. Oh, I guess we're 65 to 80. So that would be, boomers would be like 45 to 65.
Yeah, Mike's a boomer. He was born in 65.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's
my brother, Mike.
Yeah, he's boomer Gen X, kind of like my mom's silent. Yeah. Okay.
He's definitely a boomer, though.
Yeah. And then we've got, he's something else. He is, that's next episode. No, I'm kidding. We are parents, many of us, to millennials, and they are also Gen Y, and they are 1980 to something. I don't know. I don't have those dates. It doesn't matter. And then there's Gen Z. They are the up and coming adults. And then we have Gen Alpha. And then this year, or not this year, 2025, I saw in one of my articles, is Gen Beta. So Generation Beta started. Those babies are 2025. So we've got.
Do we know how they come up with these names? Is it some language I don't understand? Because it seems random. Like for a while, they'll just walk through the alphabet and then they get bored and make up a name.
Well, I feel like Generation X was called that because of our disassociative personalities. And it was kind of like X, and we were wretched. And then, of course, we got a little older. And then for some reason, they just jumped on the alphabet wagon, because I have no idea. I'm just making stuff up right now.
Yeah. Maybe this job has been like outsourced to a consulting firm or something. And that's what it feels like to me. Okay.
Okay. So we were, my generation, the latchkey kids. We often came from, or knew many people who came from divorced families. Dual income homes became the norm. My mom started working when I was in middle school, and Navistar or Harvester in Fort Wayne left the city basically. And when they left the city, my entire neighborhood there were a lot of dads out of work. And so that was a huge shift. We are the MTV generation, and our streetlights were our alarm clocks. We had to come home when the streetlights came on.
No more MTV now.
No more MTV. Malls weren't just for shopping. They also weren't for skateboarding. Now they're just these giant empty buildings all over the place.
Finding boyfriends and girlfriends, I think, was the main purpose of malls in the 80s.
If you could get someone to drive you there. Many of us thought Russia was coming any day. I didn't think I was going to make it out of high school, quite frankly. And this is I think the Russia thing, the Cold War thing, and then this next thing is what defined us in many ways as parents. We watched Eton Patz, we watched Adam Walsh, and we watched April Tinsley and many, many others become victims of kidnappings and terrible crimes. Of course, research shows us that all of those things were happening all along. It's just suddenly they became clickbait. Before clickbait was clickbait, it became news. Everybody started getting the news cycle went, oh, we're getting ratings. Any other children get kidnapped this year? Let's talk about it. And so we were raised seeing all of those things, and stranger danger, which was first used in the 60s, became a common term. We are also the first generation, no surprise here, to helicopter parent. I can relate to that. I was not as helicoptery as some of my friends and fellow parents, but I've seen it a lot, and I'm watching it continue. According to WebMD,
so what is a helicopter parent?
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you.
Okay, here we go.
7 signs, according to WebMD. You attempt to fight your children's battles. By the way, as I was reading this sign, I was trying to picture my own parents doing any of these things. And that's my reaction. So you attempt to fight your children's battles. If your kid is getting bullied, if your kid is having issues at school, you are going and talking about that. I remember I was terrified of my 3rd grade teacher. She was, I think, in retrospect, kind of mean. And we got put into these corners, and there was cardboard put around us if we were talking, and things happened. And I went home and complained about it with my little 10-year-old, 9-year-old self. And my parents, blew smoke in my face at the dinner table, because that's what they did, and basically said, you'll figure it out. And nobody's feelings were hurt. I was still scared to go to school, but I didn't think I'm calling CPS on my mom. They do their children's schoolwork sometimes because they want that schoolwork to look good. So they look like a good parent sometimes, or they want to help. They coach their children's coaches. Did that happen when you were in Little League? Did your dad coach your coaches?
No, my dad very famously offered to be a parent umpire once, when one of my brothers was pitching, and
I know how this goes.
Well, let's just say my brother, I think, threw 152 strikes in a row. It was some kind of
what a
Little
great
League record.
I'm surprised he's not in the what didn't go into the MLB.
And I don't know, they never asked my dad to umpire again, I don't think, after that. So
all right, so maybe he's a bit of a helicopter parent. The helicopter parent keeps their child on a very short leash. There's lots of monitoring, lots of checking up, calling to see how that birthday party is going to be supervised. Didn't have GPS tracking on my kid when she was growing up. It wasn't available yet.
We did have literally have her on a leash at once or twice, though, at the mall.
Well, she didn't like the stroller. Man, I used to get some dirty looks for having her on that leash. Whew. Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, short leash. When my daughter was in high school, and she wanted to go to a party, I would call the parents and talk to them, and then drive her to the party and go inside and look at the area. She was mortified. But I remember the parties I went to in high school, and what that all ended up looking like. So in my brain, I'm like, she's doing the same thing. So yeah, there was a little helicopter going there. You are the maid, the handyman, the mechanic in your own house. Every time your child has an issue, if they're dirty, if their Doritos are all over the floor, you're vacuuming up around them. And you play it too safe. You want them safe. You want them to have all of the stuff, and you try to fix their mistakes. If there's an issue, if there's a problem, well, they're very young. We don't want this to happen to our child. They might not be able to get themselves out of it. And here we go. A survey, the bank rate conducted in 2024 found that 61% of parents with adult children have sacrificed to help their kids financially. 61%. And that's all generations.
So is this a carryover? If you're a helicopter parent when your kids are young, that you'll continue to do it when they're adults?
I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk about some of that. But that's kind of what I want to do with you is discuss where is all this coming from?
Yeah.
So 61% total of parents with adult children have sacrificed to help their kids financially. 69% of Gen X parents of adult children say they have done or are doing that. They are sacrificing to...
And sacrifice is a little bit squishy of a word, but...
They talked about, like, what does that mean? And I'm going to give you the kind of the levels. There's 4 levels. One of them is basically like all the other stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
This includes dipping into retirement accounts or emergency savings. Those are 2 of them. So 56% of boomers are or have done this.
56% of baby boomers have dipped into a retirement account or a emergency account to help out one of their adult kids financially.
Yes.
Okay.
So who's receiving this assistance they're talking about over the age of 23. So basically your kids out of college age. Okay.
Okay.
So 42% of Gen Z and millennials are getting or have gotten contributions for their parents for housing, for bill pay. That does not include things like being on the family plan or having your mom's Netflix password.
We're talking, Mom, I can't pay rent this month. Can I have $500?
Yeah. Little Shayla needs to go to daycare. And
by the way, I'm going to guess that, I don't know who they polled and how many people they polled, but I'm going to guess
6,700-ish.
Okay. I'm going to guess most parents, if asked that question,
are going to downplay it.
Well,
do you think?
I think most would downplay it, but I was going to be more specific. I was going to say if one time, a year and a half ago, they had to help their son or daughter pay rent and it was $500 and they never saw that $500 again, they might say, no, I don't do that. Because it was one time.
Yeah, and I'd like to see what the questionnaire looked like.
Exactly.
Are they talking to a person or is this something that was filled out? Because those things matter. But anyway, so 42%.
I think people would downplay it, but some people would upplay it too. Or some people would like that they get to answer that in the affirmative because it makes them feel good, like they're doing some good deed.
The helicopter parent, like they want to take care of their kids. They want to be able to say, we're doing this. I'm doing this. And I'm making it sound like it's a pride thing. I don't think it always is. But I think with social media out there, people like presenting as maybe more than they are sometimes. A happier family, a more successful, whatever. And I don't know. Okay. So 42% Gen Z and millennials. These are the adults.
That's why I don't post on social media.
These are the Gen Z and the millennials. 42% are getting or have gotten money post age of 23.
42% of them. Okay.
How many Gen Xers are in that category? Received or have received?
It's got to be less. Is my theory is that it's less. Half that.
22%.
What was it?
22%.
That's about half.
And boomers, 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what are they getting help with? Mostly housing.
Well, and by the way, there's an argument to be made that people need more help now. It's much more expensive to live now on your own. I mean, if you graduated college in the late 80s, early 90s, you still could have been a boomer, barely. And I mean, you could have had any kind of a job and paid your own rent. Really, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, when you were talking about Social Security and how it, what capped in 1990, what stopped in 1990,
the tax increase, the percent increase on the tax. Yeah.
This is not the same thing, but I mean, do you know when the last time the minimum wage was raised?
Gets raised all the time, doesn't it? Just not very much, or no?
Minimum wage was changed for the last time during Obama's first term. That was the last time we raised the federal minimum wage, $7.25. It's been $7.25 for however many years
and that's an interesting topic there, because I think states and stuff have their own minimum wages.
They do. And sometimes counties, like I think Chicago's got a different minimum wage.
The whole idea of the minimum wage is just,
well, and
it doesn't mean what it used to mean.
No.
It's too bad that it can't or it doesn't. But
we could probably talk about that, but it's not really apropos for retirement. Yeah. But okay, so depending on your generation, the money assistance that you got from your parents probably looks different.
Yeah, sure.
So boomers and Xers maybe got help or gifted with a down payment on a house. That is depending on your culture, especially, and depending on like your socioeconomic status, that may or may not be considered kind of part of the family deal. Like you buy your first house, your parents either give you the money for the down payment or whatever. I've heard of that. My parents were not going to do that.
Yeah, my parents, after we got married, they gave us some chunks of money here or there. It was never
never formal.
It was never like a planned or milestone type thing. It wasn't like when we got married they gave us a bunch of money. When we put a down payment on a house, it's just like I remember one day I was talking to my mom or my dad about carpet. We're going to get a new carpet, and like the next day, mom has a check. Hey, dad wants to pay for your carpet in your house.
That was fantastic. It was just random. By the way, that was
great.
That was a great gift because we had emerald. We bought this house with emerald green carpet, and we replaced it with frise. Do you guys remember when frise was like the carpet? And we replaced a very large amount of carpet and chose it on our own. And they basically said, no, we want to do this for you. And it was,
but I mean, they didn't do things like I was saying, like on like a certain cadence of like important or so-called important milestones or things like that. But
no, but yeah, I just got a little warm fuzzy. Southerners are much more likely to do this, by the way, to do the down payment. Yeah. And I forget what the number is. I've got it in the article that I read, but I thought that was kind of interesting. I think it's in the 20% range. Southern parents help their kids with down payment or give them the down payment if they're purchasing a home. Yeah.
Is that like an estate thing? Is that like a property thing? Like they have more wide open spaces and property is more important to them, and it's like a building block.
I'm actually kind of wanting to look into that because I thought that was kind of a fun little. I'm like, you can't drop that information right there and not give me more. Millennials and Zs are getting help with rent and utilities. That's what you're seeing way more than the down payment stuff.
And do we think that is some of that? I mean, I think millennials and Gen Zers also, I might be completely wrong about this, but do they go to college for longer periods of time, like work while they're in college, and it takes them longer to get through? I don't know.
I think it's such a huge, I mean, you and I could probably stop this and start a whole new podcast where we just talk about why this is, because this is huge. But why housing we're talking about it, so expensive.
But why we're talking about it is because of how it affects the parents and their ability to retire.
Yes.
Not only their ability financially on a month-to-month cadence to pay their bills and their kids' bills, but also just the happiness quotient of, my kids are good. They don't need me financially anymore,
Well, those of you who are in the Gen X category and that are listening to this, I think we're all kind of getting to the point in our lives where we're starting to have to take care of our parents And we're looking at the situation our parents are in financially, health-wise, and all of those things. And if money's an issue, it is a huge burden on the younger generation. And I can speak and have seen this personally. Steve's parents, the best gift they gave us, the best gift they gave all of their children, they have 4 children, was they bought long-term care insurance.
Yeah, best financial gift they gave us, right?
That was the best,
Yeah.
absolute fantastic. Steve's mom had a very long time dealing with Alzheimer's, and she was in a nursing home for a very long time, and it was a fantastic place, and she was well cared for, and we didn't have to think or worry about any of that. It was, I mean, I'm getting choked up just thinking about that.
But
how valuable that gift is.
And that insurance doesn't even, I mean, it exists, but not the quality and the cost that they paid. They paid a very reasonable amount for it, and what they got out of it was
the foresight that they had.
Yeah, exactly.
To buy that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that was talked about in my research is the fact that many millennials and even more Gen Zs expect financial, not assistance. They expect finances from their parents into their 20s. Like, there were boxes checked saying, I expect my parents to pay for family vacation, my part in a family vacation, until I'm at least 23. I expect my parents to pay for me to be on their family cell phone plan until I'm whatever, 20 something. There's like categories in that. I mean, there's that expectation. And again, I'm picturing my parents and me saying that to them.
Well, and 23 today is different than what it used to be for a number of different reasons. But I mean, and the word expectation also puts a certain connotation into it, right?
So retirement savings is, thankfully, usually the last thing parents are willing to sacrifice to help their adult children. The first to go, by the way, the rest of the news isn't good. The first to go is the emergency savings. And then, this makes my heart start beating rapidly, is the reduction in payments to bring down debt. Retirement savings accounts are not completely safe. 40% of Gen X who finance their adult children say they've used their retirement savings. So
money
40% of that number.
Yeah, and you're paying penalties on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what? Who's going to take care of you in retirement? I look at retirement as a gift. I am giving my kid a gift when I have retirement savings. I am giving her the gift of having the choice of the level of care she may or may not need to give me at some point. Does she want to see me? Does she want me moving into her back bedroom? Maybe, maybe not. And is that something we all want or not? Or do we have to do it? Those are things that are, you need to know and you need to think about and plan for. It's not some hazy future. You should plan to get old, and you should plan to make that a happy time of your life. And it's not going to be happy if you're giving your 20-something who has 60 more years or 40 more years of earnings under their belt.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't go into your retirement accounts to pay for your adult children.
They have earning potential.
Yeah.
Yours is waning.
Yeah.
And the amount of time that you need to grow that retirement account is waning very rapidly.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
That's it. That
Fun
was a
conversation.
long one. Yeah, lots of fun details there. So thanks for joining us. We hope you join us again next time on Retirement Outsiders.